Boy,
All right, we ready to get started?
yes.
All right. I guess let's start by seeing what all these papers we have in front of us are.
You wanna, let, Marlena give you a brief overview of 911 and then she can get out of here. She'll be short.
Sure,
I'm all in on that.
Understand?
I'm all in on that.
that's fine.
My name's Marlena Tarian. I'm the 911 director for Clare County. We're a division within the sheriff's office, so I'm not a department head, but I will come in front of the board quite often for projects that we need approval for and whatnot. Usually I handle that rather than having the undersheriff do it, just because I know, some of the more technical aspects of it and why it's needed and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that I was able to introduce myself, especially to the new commissioners. Welcome, by the way. And I did prepare just an organizational chart for dispatch if anyone's interested. What we currently have, what we're working with, it'll also be a part of what the undersheriff shares as a whole, because again, we're within the sheriff's department. Are you guys interested in seeing that?
Yes, please.
It doesn't take 20 minutes.
Nope.
I want you to know, we do see her as a department head.
Okay,
There's that if you want to pass one around.
sure.
There's actually 2 pages because the first one is where we currently stand. And then the second one is where we hope to be in the near future. So I just kind of gave an example. Right now, we only have 1 supervisor. But there's myself, 1 supervisor, and then I have 8 other employees and 8 dispatchers that work for us. Just to give you a broad overhead of our budget part of it. We receive funding from a couple different sources. The first one being the state. From them, we receive, they collect a technical surcharge of 25 cents. And then they redistribute some of that funds back to the counties. So when you're looking at our budget, you'll see that there's a state surcharge fee, and then there's a local surcharge fee. Our local surcharge fee is currently set at $1. And then we have a millage that provides 0.35 mils of funding towards us. We do not receive any funding from the general fund. Self-sufficient.
You said the state surcharge is 25 cents?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So the state collects that and then they use it to help pay for the delivery of 911 across the state.
Okay.
And then we're responsible for paying any cost of once it arrives at our dispatch center, the equipment we use, the staffing and things like that. But they do pay for the delivery of 911 to the dispatch center and all the technology that requires.
Okay.
So anything that's left in that fund, they use a formula and they trickle some of that back to the counties. And that's where in our budget, we have a state surcharge line item. So do you guys have any questions about any of that?
You have have you made a copy of your budget for this?
I assume that the undersheriff has all of that
Okay.
because it's a part of his division, his department.
That packet that I gave you.
Oh, well, yeah, but I think he's got,
Right here.
It'd be the same with.
This packet.
We are the 261 fund.
Yeah, the big one,
That's,
the big one that's in there.
I count on you to explain that.
6-1
Okay.
is Lori Martin.
No, if you look on the second page of that first paper. Those are funds.
Second page doesn't have any 200s.
Page 2.
Oh. Okay.
Who's blank?
What? Is yours blank?
Well, I'm telling you.
So Marlena, as you tell the group about what 911 does
Oh, that one?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I meant. No,
for them to know why there's employee retention issues and how much overtime you guys have to incur and what that does to a short staff of in dispatch.
So we are a 24/7 run facility. So we have to have 2 dispatchers on the desk or console at all times. We only have 10 employees, including myself and the supervisor. So that's running an extremely tight ship.
Yeah.
Between 2019 and 2020, I actually spent 11 months working full-time in the dispatch center while also trying to keep up with my director duties. And my supervisor has been on desk full-time for over 2 years because we had some people leave and then it takes a long time to get a new person trained. And during that time, retention of a dispatcher when they start training is probably less than 50%. And that's not abnormal just at our facility. That's common throughout the state because it's an extremely stressful job. It's a hard job on family life. It's a hard job because of the type of schedule you work, working 12 hours, you're working holidays. You know, you've heard it all. You know what emergency services is like. It's hard to keep people there. And to be honest, I mean, you guys hear it from probably every department, but we are one of probably the lowest paid dispatch centers in the state. And I mean, we can prove that by pulling numbers from across the state, and, you know, and that's keeping in mind that we're comparing it to like size dispatch centers. So that is a challenge for us. Thankfully, we do have decent, like really good benefits here. So that helps. And then we have a core group of people that love this community. They live locally and they want to stay local. But, you know, it can be hard when everyone's constantly getting increases at everywhere else and seeing job postings. And it's harder to find people that want to do this work for the amount of money that, you know, is there. And I'm not trying to bring it all back down to money, but, you know, it's the reality of the matter.
Can you provide us with a comparison of what other county dispatchers are paid?
Oh, I definitely could. I don't have it on hand.
Yeah, if you could
It's
do.
been a while since I pulled the numbers.
See it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I could definitely do that. Something that I would like to prepare in the future is I'd have like a wage scale comparison so you can see, you know, the steps that we have.
okay.
Just so they get an idea, what is the starting pay at training?
You guys, I want to add something to that, to be fair to Marlena. She does a lot more than most directors, trust me. And part of the issue I had a few years ago, Tracy and I know we've talked about it, financially, once it's doable, she is division commander. She should be paid at a lieutenant scale, and she's not even paid at a sergeant scale.
Okay. Well, that's why I'd like to see the. comp.
Right, yep.
Okay,
Do they,
We couldn't look at before. I mean, dispatch couldn't afford to, you know, pay me more, to be honest, because for quite a few years there, we were spending more money than what we had coming in. We had money piled up, and that's the only way we made it through for a while. But we've been
How do
really,
you collect the local fees? Because you said it's no cost to the county.
I'm sorry, what was that?
How do you collect the local fees?
It is a state fee that's on the monthly phone bill. And it's currently set at $1. And back in August, we just had a ballot proposal to raise that to $1.75 per month per line on everyone's bill in Clare County. And so we will start collecting those funds in July,
Okay,
but we won't receive it until probably January, somewhere time between November and January, they'll start trickling in. But it'll be November of 2022 before we have a full year of funding with the increase.
And do you have to do special things with that money, or could it be put towards any of your needs?
It is laid out very specifically what it is, but it's for any operational needs for 911. But there is an eligible and ineligible list online of what you can and can't spend it on.
Okay,
so you could be paid more for your position as to what you're doing. Is that-
I could, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Before now, I've never addressed that because we were in a position where we needed more funding, and I'm not going to take that away from the needs, especially technology wise. It's a very expensive to operate a 911 center. There's a lot of equipment that needs to be maintained. So that's always going to be the top priority.
Okay, it's on the monthly phone bill, so each county has a separate amount that they charge.
They can. Some dispatch centers choose to be funded differently. Some are all funded by general fund. Some are only surcharge, some are only millage, and then some are a combination, you know, of those. So it just depends. But yes, every county has the ability to collect, I think it's up to 42 cents without going to the Board of Commissioners. More than that has to go to Board of Commissioners for approval to take to a ballot, and then it's voter approved.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful.
Just to give you
Thank you.
feedback, but yes, I can definitely prepare a document with
Appreciate
wage
it.
scales. I mean, is there a timeline to when you'd want that, or when you would want it presented to you?
Whatever It's convenient for you. I know you're busy.
Okay.
And
also
just-
on that, add, you know, if you got to man that 24/7 with 2 people, you know, you only got 10, that potentially doesn't really work out. How many people do you need to have that operate smoothly?
Well,
Do you have any idea what this excess money that's going to come in with the extra 70 cents or whatever? Do you have any idea what that's going to be?
yes,
Maybe throw some kind of budget together that you
Right.
feel might work with that and give you the people that you need also.
well, we do have, every year I put together our update, our 5-year projection plan for expenses. I do have on there that we would like to have 2 supervisors that would help offset some of the overtime costs because they flex their schedule. I still flex my schedule to cover overtime. For instance, I just work Saturday night. I try to keep myself up to date on what's going on in the dispatch center. But I do want to promote an employee from within to a supervisor so that we have one on each end of the week. Because right now we have one supervisor for 8 people. That's too high for span of control. She can't see everyone, so she can't effectively supervise them.
You feel because of our wages that counties cherry pick us and let us train the person and then pull them away?
I don't feel as though we've had that issue. Could it be an issue? Absolutely. Thankfully, I have loyal employees that don't want to leave and they hope that things will get better.
That's what my next question was gonna.
Yes, but it's definitely very likely. We could certainly have that happen.
Plus they get an awful lot of overtime.
Yes, it's very high. We've
Pay
already,
for another employee with the overtime you're paying, you think?
we have reached 65,000 for this year. So yes. That's about what it would cost for me to hire a
But
full-time.
because of the turnover, you have a hard time getting that person
Yes.
to stay there. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think it's
So I
not just the turnover, it's the rate of pay that they start at.
Right.
Mhm.
What do they?
Yeah, our
start at in
dispatching starting wage is, I believe it's 13.85.
And I think that's the biggest challenge I've had. I feel every department in the county needs to be looked at and
Absolutely.
adjusted, but
Oh, yeah.
ever since I've been on here, we start every budget in the negative. So
Right.
it's so difficult, you know?
Oh, we gotta turn that around.
Well, and it's like she said, they have a fund, theirs is different.
Right,
But I do want you to know, those are union positions. They have to be negotiated.
okay.
So
Mhm.
just to
I
let,
guess I was
you know
curious
that.
though, if you're looking at the entire wage scale as a whole,
Mhm.
can that be adjusted outside of union negotiations?
You can do a letter of understanding between
Oh.
between the Board of Commissioners and the,
Mhm. So I think that that's something that'll definitely be a topic of conversation, hopefully sooner rather than later. But
Well,
at the same time, I understand that the county has more, really important things to discuss as well. So I do have it in my 5-year plan though, too. After we promote a supervisor, then we would have to backfill that position on the floor. So
could you
that
give us a
wouldn't,
copy of your 5-year plan?
sure can. This one's all marked up, but I will, I can do that. Yeah.
Great,
Just email one out whenever.
Okay. I can do that with the
Thank
wage
you.
findings.
I'd like one too, so get my
yeah, I
name on
said
the
us,
email list.
all of us.
Yes.
In the many years that, and I know the invitation has always been out there for commissioners to go in and sit in dispatch and
Absolutely.
go on the road with the guys. In the 5 years I was in dispatch, never did I see anyone. I talked to Dale quite a bit on the phone just because of fires and whatnot, but you need to go over there and you need to sit in,
Oh, yeah.
take a Friday night from 9 to 11 and go hang out in dispatch because what they do
Phenomenal.
is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Sure, but
Jail?
It's insane.
Is it in the jail where they're at?
No, they have their own.
Sheriff's Office at the very far end of the building, west end of the building.
Okay. Did we run past it the other
Been
day,
in there before.
the dispatch?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, we're going so.
You missed it. There's
I took you in there,
7
Sandy.
screens. It's
All right,
pretty memorable.
okay. We were going really fast though.
Yeah.
You were in a hurry. You had to go to the dentist.
That's right. Want to see how clean my teeth are?
Oh, my.
I appreciate the chance of.
Thank you.
To speak with you all tonight. And if you ever have any questions, I'm always available.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
thank you and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can go.
All right.
Okay,
Okay, we might as well just move right on.
yeah.
Hey, John, what do you got for us?
Well, for those who haven't been here, I apologize, working out. I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning. The sheriff is a constitutional office. I'm sure you're aware of it, that have been here. I have specific duties as the sheriff, and it's spelled out in the Constitution. Those are the things that I have to have funding for, primarily the jail. It is really your building that you have to take care of so I can house inmates in. The road patrol over the years, they've always talked about, if we got a cut, do we cut the road patrol? Ever since I got elected, this is my 4th term. And if I finish, it'll be the longest standing sheriff since 1871.
Yay.
We've talked about, ever since I got elected, and my first term was 09, Jim Jellius back then says, John, I don't know how we're gonna do this without doing a road patrol millage. And I'd hear that off and on over the last 13 years. And we never did it because people are like, we don't want to pay more taxes. So that's one thing. I could go on for hours with that. That was one of the things we have to look at. I am responsible though to respond for calls of assistance in the unincorporated areas of the county. Meaning if Clare City has a police department, I don't have to respond unless they're not on duty. Then I am responsible. City of Harrison, they contract with us. I'm responsible overall. Irregardless, I'm still responsible for how it falls in. Other than the sheriff's office, the Clare City Police is in the county. I deputize all of those people down there. They can back us up out in the county. They have authority even through our central dispatch through me if they need to do something if I didn't deputize them, but it's easier to deputize them. Almost all sheriff's offices in the state deputize their local PDs, except when you get down like around Detroit and that, because they help each other out. The Michigan State Police covers our area. Their post is in Mount Pleasant. They cover 4 counties with 1 post and they're never fully manned. So, and Steffi can, we'll get 1 or 2 troopers, depends on when it is. And I'm not bashing them. We have one that kind of sticks out, but I feed him every Thursday breakfast. And he's here all day. Colo, I love the guy. He's not listening. But, he does a good job. We got a couple more that work nights that like working up here. But they can kind of choose where they end up working and it's a whole post and they're stretched thin. There's always somebody. I think the last academy, I don't remember how many they got out of it. They train them and then they transfer out to areas that they want to go. We have DNR in the county. We don't hear from the DNR much unless we're working with them. So as far as law enforcement, that's it. I'm primarily the law enforcement. I sent you statistics. We have, on average, we go between around 70 employees plus or minus, and that includes Marlena, that includes courthouse security. That's who I oversee is 911, courthouse security, road patrol, the clerical, the jail, civil process. Well, it's its own division. So about 6 different areas that I actually oversee. There was a time when I first started here, I actually was a dispatcher and I worked as a dispatcher. I worked in the jail. I have experience in every area over there. And I can't work dispatch. So one day I went in there and it was a bad storm. Dale, was that really bad windstorm we had and the county just went berserk. And Missy's like, sit down, answer the phone. This is a funny story, so you gotta listen to it. So I put the headsets on and I answered the phone. And I said, Sheriff's Office, can I help you? She goes, I called 911. I said, you got 911. It's like, I need help. I mean, it was unbelievable in that dispatch center. It can just fall apart no matter, what time it is. And I'm bouncing around, but a true good number in there would be 3 people on duty at the high times. At your 4 to whatever time in the summertime would be actually a good number to have 3 dispatchers. We have 3 stations in there. And if you stop, I think you're stopping up Saturday, Bron, when you can go down there.
Yes.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
One thing I've seen over the years, and I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm gonna tell you from my heart, something's got to change in this county. I lose too many good people. I have a 17-year veteran who's a sergeant who made $5,600 more than me this year, and he's leaving to go to Gladwin City because he's going to get a better retirement. He's getting better insurance, and he's starting out at a wage that he's making here as a sergeant, as a regular patrol officer. It's a repeat. It's a skip record every year. And I always hear, we have no money, we have no money, we have no money. I understand it, but we got to come together and we got to change that. We had several good years where, and I'll be straight up with you, I don't like running a business in the jail. I was handed that when I got elected. We kept it going. I understand how important that revenue is. And we've proven through 2 different jail studies before Dale was commissioner, even one, we did one. And after that the jail does bring, at the right numbers, brings above and beyond that amount of money, which it would cost to run a regular jail. We've proven that. Now, this is the first year since I've been here. I think we were at 900,000. One year was 08 or 9. The economy was bad and all that. But other than that, other years were 1 point, whatever it was. It's all in that paper you guys have. And right now, thank God, and I shouldn't say this, because of COVID, taking 2 years to do 2 walls in my jail hasn't really affected so much the renters because of COVID. Had we not had COVID, we would have been affected by the renters anyways, because I have a whole dorm shut down and I've lost bed back there.
But that is almost done, right?
I was back there now the attorney-client rooms, they are very close, because long story short, and I'm not gonna badmouth anybody, we took over the project and it's getting there. It's really, we're seeing it move along now.
I thought I
Right.
I think I paid the last couple bills for the attorney-client room, so I think we're very, very close with that.
Yep, they gotta do the floor, we had the fire suppression, they got those white noise things that go in.
Yep,
Mark-
I ordered those.
Yeah, he had to move those. Other than that, Mark's been real good, Heckman, moving stuff around. I just pull him over when he's not showing up and I make him go to jail and finish his job.
All right.
Work release, he just gets out of bed.
Yeah.
No intimidation.
He's a good guy. He's good. He does good work for us. And then in the back, I'm not gonna get into the story over the windows, how it was all messed up from the get-go, but we've worked out a deal where we can get new windows cut because it's special glass. It's beyond bulletproof. I can't remember. I'll let a 2x4 go through during a hurricane. That's what you gotta have back there. Smash resistant, or what do they call it? I don't remember. But, so they're getting done. SST was a renter that we got from downstate. Local municipalities would send them up here and they would house them here. I think we're at $35 a day with them when that stopped. Was that 35? 40? 30? Okay. And they went bankrupt because nobody was taking anybody to jail down there. And we weren't either. We didn't want that stuff in our jail. And knock on wood, we have not had one case in our jail. And we were doing testing every day. We go by DOC standards, the health department standards. We can test it and we know within 24 hours or real fast, it comes back quick. And the feds are not arresting people, but now I just got this bad feeling because Saginaw built this brand new jail and they're really politics down there are pulling these federal inmates in there because they're closer to Bay City. We do have a contract with them. I believe it was 50 and 5 females in that area. And we get $67 a day now for those. Yeah, we got a little bit of a raise a year and a half ago, and it boosted it up there. There is no cost to the county in the sense of putting that federal inmate into our facility. They pay for all medical, all transportation, everything around that. And the rental fee pays for the meal every day. With the COVID, our jail has, the cost of food has gone up, but I think we're 45,000 less than last year at about this time or overall in food for the jail. But they had to raise it because they did you per price. The more inmates you had, less it cost. You know, now we're way down. They raised the price, but it's still in a positive for us on that one. I mean, I could talk for hours. I mean, what do you want to know? We've done so much over there in the 12 years I've been here. We try to, one of the things that's hard to do is, and I do have the current wage study from the Michigan Sheriff's Association. What they do is get information from all 83 counties, and they go by 3 categories: population of your county, jail bed, and number of employees, and they average out the wages. From sheriff all the way down, they changed it. They have everybody on that now. Did you look through that at all?
That's one thing we need,
Yeah, you're gonna get it.
okay?
Absolutely. I'll be happy to.
That's
do
what I
it.
was gonna ask.
That sent out already, under sheriff?
No,
No,
The former one, they just-
I wouldn't give it to him. I wouldn't. I said, you got enough to do. Wait, well. Anyways, I will send that out. I was losing my track here. Where was I going?
Well, actually, John, an overview of what's going on, and just a couple questions off the top. It's all good stuff, but your budget, obviously, we're gonna take a $500,000 hit from what we thought, correct?
Right. When I looked at today, we're about 720. If we keep where we're at, that's about where our revenue will be at the end of this fiscal year, where it was 1.2. So yeah,
Okay.
5.
And I'm more concerned, honestly, guys, it may hit about 600.
Really? Boy.
Because we don't.
Now, that being said, and I'm just talking, if we had enough employees, which we were undermanned before, according to DOC, whatever, I understand that. But if we don't have the employees, are we gonna save any money by laying somebody off because we don't have the work? Or are we just at the number we need over there now?
Don't we have to have so many employees for the federal inmates as well? I
We
mean,
go by, the Department of Corrections kind of set that number for us.
Yeah.
And Dwayne and I have talked about this. You know, do we go and lay X amount off and then all of a sudden we got, you know, where do you go with this? And then all of a sudden June, we have 50 inmates, more inmates that we need. Do we take that
Exactly.
chance till June? Because I know what those people are going, and I hope they aren't listening and think I'm gonna lay them off, because that's not my plan. But do you do that, taking a chance of rolling the dice? Because I don't trust the federal government, because they're playing where they're gonna make the money and who's the easiest with them. But we've been a vendor there. They've been our vendor for 99.
I guess why I asked that is that 500 to 600,000, is that a hard number? Or if we know we're gonna be losing inmates, can we cut our operating costs over there and revamp that to have a more solid number that's not so bad? You know,
Honestly, I don't think you can cut any funding from that area because they're already undermanned, road and corrections.
that's
I mean, it's gonna be,
why I'm asking. I don't know
I know.
if they've looked at it or not.
What do you,
it's looking at the
I
rest
think-
of the county,
I want to go into this budget
not the
with
emergency.
good numbers instead of guess numbers like I think we've used before. I've made plenty of mistakes the first 2 years I was here, and I don't want to make them again.
And I don't know the books like Tracy and Jenny do. I'm just told what's going on, and I have to rely on them to say, maybe, I don't know, how do other counties do it? Do they say, we need to do this every quarter and adjust every quarter? Is that something that you do in a county? We've never done that. We've talked about, because it's a working budget. I mean,
Right.
hey,
It's just a
we
budget.
have a homicide tomorrow? You know, you used to get yelled at saying that in dispatch.
Right?
But all of a sudden, it's $20,000. All of a sudden, we got to set a different line item up that we can't, how do you plan for that?
I agree.
You know, we have some positions, I don't know if we've had people, we got a couple that we haven't filled yet in the jail. That's in the budget. I mean, there's things that we can look at doing. We'd like to sit down with Tracy and go over that stuff, you know?
can you do that before the next meeting, our next workshop?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep, Dwayne.
we can see what we can come up with.
I thought he was too busy.
Dwayne, and you said you feel more comfortable with a $600,000 decrease in the budget. So I'd rather put that in and say, hey,
And John, I agree. Me and you've had a conversation.
Right.
I agree that you guys know your department way, way better than I do or we do. Except maybe Stephanie, she was there. She's been around all that, so her input will be very well, taken, but I can't tell you where to cut, what to do anywhere here. So I guess we're looking at
Yeah.
elected officials and department heads, and I think we all get our heads together and get this figured out.
Oh.
A great start in the right direction.
if Dwayne could sit down with Tracy and John before the next meeting, our next workshop, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Trace?
I think one of the big questions is, so the jail generally has a lot of income supporting the entire county.
Mhm.
Where else is our revenue coming from?
Taxes.
And if I could add, you guys, Stephanie kind of hit the nail on the head, as the sheriff reiterated. The jail and Jenny are huge. They are. They're pretty much everything. And there's a fine balance. You got to be careful, the inmate to CO ratio.
Right.
I don't feel we can do with any less COs than we physically have right now, nor the road.
Right.
My opinion, you should have 5 county road deputies every shift, never less than 3. There's times we're running with 2, one of which is me.
I want to make that clear, though. I'm not saying we have to cut people.
Right.
I was asking your opinion, on whether you think we're overstaffed.
Just,
That's why I said, you guys know what's going on.
we need,
I don't feel you can cut your way out of the
If
deficit.
we, let me say this, if I looked at as a manager and rearranged my top and my managers and are we too top heavy or aren't we too top heavy? And you can show them the chart there of what everybody's responsible of doing, you know, there's huge list under one lieutenant. Besides, he's already working the road to cover, instead of paying overtime, he's been using him as a date, you know.
I'm not saying any of that. In fact, I think you guys do a great job. So I'm not saying that. I feel that I'm coming to you two,
We have some
and
ideas.
Tracy or whatever, I'm coming to you two to help us out with this instead of us having to do something blind.
He said he has some ideas, so let's have he and Trace get together before our next workshop.
Jeff, you bring up a good point. If I could, sorry, Bronwyn. If you guys had an idea, like where do you want the fund balance to be? That's huge for us. Tracy and I talk, Lori Phelps has done an amazing job with the grants. Are we eligible for this $400,000 that may come from COVID reimbursement? Is that coming? Do we know when? I'd have to ask Jenny, her area of expertise, tax anticipation.
Kind of what I
Did
like.
that come? How much?
If it does, like Dale says, if that does, that will build our fund balance up. If we were operating with a great fund balance and we absorbed COVID and we could get everybody a raise instead of go,
Yeah.
it would be
But-
fun being a county commissioner then.
But
I'm gonna tell you,
Those spots that haven't been filled for a year.
Right.
I mean, they're so short staffed.
we've got to operate in the reality right now. And
Right.
that's,
We approved this budget for this year with nothing going into the fund balance.
no, we did put fund balance in.
If you guys, I'm so excited you guys are meeting and doing this right now because we're a quarter or actually a third of the way into the budget. So you definitely need to make changes now. And I think you can go ahead and tweak some if you don't mind me interrupting really quick. But for instance, you guys lost quite a few federal inmates, so I'm assuming you don't have to feed them. So I think you could probably cut some from the commissary line. Is that correct, Midge?
No, the food line.
The food line.
And
Correct.
commissaries no.
That was-
Okay, that's what I meant. I didn't mean the commissary fund. I meant
Yeah.
the fund, but I'm thinking that you could make some. But I just wanted to point out, I left
right
this
now.
sheet on your guys' desk. And it actually, for the newer commissioners, I can kind of explain it to you.
Worksheet.
It actually is the history. So if you look at the 2009 through the 2020, they're actual numbers. Those are real numbers. Those are not budgeted numbers.
yeah.
It gives you the ending fund balance since 2009 all the way up until now. It gives you a fund balance as a percent of revenues and expenses. It shows you the year end of revenues and expenses
Pretty
since
awful.
2009. It gives you the extra money that's been put in order to make the budget balanced. We've been putting money in from the delinquent tax revolving fund and the tax foreclosure fund. And then I also put down on there the revenue sharing we get each year, plus the millage, plus the jail revenue. And it's always been hard for us, but two of the biggest things that's been hard is we've been relying on jail money, the inmate money, and the delinquent tax revolving fund pretty heavily to get through most of these years. You'll notice for the last couple of years, I put in over $1 million. I put a note at the bottom of that, we've lost
Yeah.
the feds and we know roughly, we're going to lose some of those, but we also have that new tax foreclosure law that it will not allow me to be able to put any more delinquent, I shouldn't say delinquent, tax reversion money into the general fund.
Right.
The only thing I can do is reimburse my staff in there. So the
Right.
delinquent tax revolving fund we can still use, but we have to keep that revolving, so we can't take too much from there. So basically on that sheet, what I want to show you is the projected 2020. This is the projected one is your budget. So that is not real numbers. That, I don't want to say it's not real. It's what you have projected so far. I have taken 500,000 out of the revenues for the sheriff department. And that's why it's showing right now that if everything stays the same, we would end the year negative 441,000. But if we have to increase that 100, but maybe we can take some out of the food or something. It's just showing you what the ending fund balance would be significantly low. It would be under 5%.
And Jenny, as Dwayne said, maybe we should make that 600,000
Yeah.
loss. Yeah.
Yep, so it would be a negative 541,000 that we could do, but that just kind of gives you a once over, and it kind of gives you a little bit of the history. You can study it and you can come ask any questions that you need to, but this gives you a history of what it's been every year. And so you can kind of see the changes, and I put little notes down what happened. This is not one of my statutory reports. I just think it's necessary for anybody to know what's going on, to kind of see the history.
Appreciate it, Jenny. I really do.
The back page that's stapled to it, it actually just shows,
look at
just a
that.
graph to put the fund balance in perspective is all.
See that
We
graph?
did gain, last year, we did gain 150,000, which is exciting. And I've also given some other revenues to the auditors and asked for to see if they will push those revenues back in the year to increase that. But we'll have to wait until the audit's over to see if they will do that. So sorry, I didn't mean to take over. I just wanted to show you guys money wise while you were talking about it, that some of that's been figured out. So
Thank you, Jenny.
you're welcome.
Jenny, could I ask a question?
You may.
So the board knows the tax anticipation note, how much do you think that'll be this year? When would we have it? In addition to if we were fortunate to get the $400,000 from the COVID reimbursement stuff. It's important for us and
That's a wash.
It's a wash?
The tax anticipation note is a wash. We have to pay that money back. The
Yeah,
only reason we get that is for cash
Operate on it.
purposes.
Yep.
For cash.
Trace, if the $400,000 did come, I'm assuming that's going to be utilized to build the fund balance. Where does that put us at and where do you guys want to be? Because I think all the ones and twos need to know that.
I don't think
As
we're
a-
gonna get the full 400.
Okay, because they're gonna,
When
I
you're
don't
talking
know that for
400,
sure, but I don't think so.
okay.
Jenny?
when you're talking 400,000, what is that?
That was the grant payroll reimbursement that we were supposed to get from the state.
Are they still looking at that?
Yes.
See, one thing to know, and another piece of history that I don't know who all knows and stuff, but between the feds and the state, they're constantly taking money out of the general fund. You know, back in the day, we used to get $60,000 to $80,000 roughly in payphone expense from the jail, but obviously payphones probably don't exist anymore, so that went away. Our district health, they moved. We used to get $80,000 for district health, and that went away. The CPL money, they have diverted. They've taken all of the concealed pistol permits away from the general fund. So now it's sitting in a fund, $80,000 sitting out there not doing anything, where we used to be able to use that in the general fund. You know, Lori should be able to use it to pay for her people that are doing that, but otherwise that money is just sitting in the or in its own fund, not doing anything when it used to come from the general fund. And then I'm sure you guys know all about it, but the child care fund, between the state and the county level child supports, we're paying that money has increased. And I think from what I'm hearing, it's going to go up a lot more too. So the
Or
state
the-
isn't helping us very much.
The indigent defense is not helping us either.
No,
Okay,
absolutely.
$150 some $1,000 a year into that fund, and you should see the fund balance in there.
Yeah, that's huge. It's on
It
this
is
sheet.
absolutely huge from the money that we get from the state of Michigan for.
Just our fund balance in that account, correct? Is that what you're saying?
No, the money that indigent defense gives us, along with our portion in Gladwin County's portion, there's over a
Million, isn't it?
there's over $1 million in there.
Yeah.
And they're still making us pay that amount because they calculated it on years that were very high for us, and they won't recalculate it.
We were not supposed to have to pay anything.
Nope, it's
And this-
$150,000 a year.
I
Jenny?
also gave you guys this other
would be
sheet.
who would be
It's our
oversight of that?
long-term debt that shows our debt payments that we have to pay, but I put
What-
those on the bottom. That shows the appropriations we have to pay, and other transfers to outside entities that we pay. So that kind of gives you an idea for interdepartmental.
Don, do we have our inmates pay for their telephone calls?
That'd be a good.
What we do with the inmates, it's called the commissary account.
Yeah.
And we get a portion of that. What we do with that is stick it away to fix things in our building.
Okay.
And that is built up. It has to be used something for inmate purposes. And that's been kind of our little savings account over the many years to say, hey, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. We had that extra money. You know, years ago, we talked about, I don't know, it's been at least 4 years ago, Tracy, I think, where we talked about putting X amount of money every year into a building and grounds fund. I'm getting away from Jenny, and we've never done that. And we don't know what's going to happen here. I know we fixed the roof over Jenny. Her office doesn't leak anymore.
Oh, thank goodness. That was 9 years.
Out.
Took 9 years to fix it.
Oh, my.
Senate.
We're redoing
Probably be a
the
good-
roof over our jail right now. While it's done, they can't do anything now in the winter. We had a rooftop unit that went bad. And we got that fixed. So a lot of that we've been able to pay for it because of that fund. So,
John, did we sell that Kubota tractor?
no, we kept it. Yep, and we bought a plow for it and we use it to plow your parking lot. Cause that one front end loader I talked to you about before, it didn't had it.
And one other thing we are working on, Brian Tomaski came to me a couple of days ago to discuss the HVAC maintenance contract that we have right now. And it has increased several dollars over the past couple of years. So we are putting together an RFP, and that will be going out to locals, because I've already gotten a bid from one company that is half of what the last one was. So we'll ask all of them to submit a sealed bid and
Good.
Speaking
Get
of
that to the board.
kind of off topic a little bit, but it's current now situation. Does dispatch have heat yet? Or are they still running on the little
Oh, my goodness.
makeshift?
We fixed it.
Okay.
That, you know what happened was when they put the rooftop unit on the old section of the jail, it screwed something up over there. So we put a couple wood stoves in there.
Perfect. Is that how they're getting exercise?
I was gonna say, John, really? Good grief. Okay. Dwayne, do you have anything to?
Oh, and I did want to add, you guys, I mentioned Marlena, and I don't want to forget someone else. Obviously, financial times are hard, but Kim Davis, you're talking a 35-year employee. She's actually a division commander as well, and she's not even paid sergeant level. They should all be lieutenants. What I'm trying to get you to understand is just to run a department right, there's organizational structure
Yes.
for a reason. We all know financially it's going to be tough, but you have a group of dedicated people, dispatch, corrections, clerical, road, court security, that are phenomenal. Most people have no idea the volume they deal with.
Yeah.
He gets upset with me sometimes. Why are you on the road again? Sometimes we don't have a choice. The sheriff and I take calls.
Yeah.
That's not common, honestly, guys.
For our next workshop, if we can have that organizational chart, number one, and number
Wage
two.
study.
And and the comps with the other counties and pay for officers, they did. Yeah,
Once we get to a better place, guys, and we all know it's going to take time. I know you have some tough decisions ahead of yourselves. But I would caution you, the jail revenue, as Jenny knows, we've been dealing with it for years together, bless her heart. That's huge. We have to be very careful how we handle anything with the jail. We can't afford to lose that revenue. Road patrol, we cannot risk the public safety. We are bare bones now. I think it gets to a point where what are our priorities? And then once we get to a better place, we have to start taking care of the sheriff's office employees. We have an amazing group of people with talent, but honestly, I don't know that we're going to be fortunate enough to keep them if something doesn't change for them. They have families too.
we've got to
And
get.
here's the thing that worries me is we're asking for all these wage summaries and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Let's not give false hopes out there.
No, we just
We're
need,
looking at 600,000, you were saying, plus Jenny's saying we're not gonna get the tax revolving money. We're crowding $1 million.
Yeah, you're talking a long-term projection. You have to, let's fix the problem.
Right.
And clearly our folks are not comparable to our neighbors and they deal with double the volume at
I don't
least.
think that's,
And long-term, start addressing it.
I think we're missing, Jenny, we're just looking at, we're only 441,000 or 541,000, right?
Yeah, but starting this year, 300,000 of that also will be going away. Additional 300,000 will be going away for 2022.
For 2022, okay.
And the sheriff, and I can't promise you guys, but the sooner we can get the jail open, that's better, obviously. It's just, we don't know.
But also you got to consider come June or whatever, and the feds say, hey, we're not going to give you any more than the 20 you have. That's all we can do for you. We're going to send them somewhere else because they're closer and they're going to do this for us. That's politics. They're playing that.
And the COVID relief
Saginaw.
eye in the sky.
Saginaw's building a new facility.
I given.
Another one here.
They did.
Plan on it.
Isabella, sheriff, I just went down there, I had coffee with him. They are building an entire new complex, breaking ground in the spring.
Better be.
$43 million sheriff and jail complex are building on the dead end of Remus
Really,
Yeah, Remus.
Road.
really?
Yep. And I said, how are you funding that to the sheriff down there? And he says, see them big windmills?
We do.
No kidding.
You know how
Okay.
resistant people
So-
in the townships are to having the windmills? I
You
just,
really can't.
they're like,
Any other.
don't look pretty.
Let us
You're
get-
bringing $1 million to $1.5 million in a year.
Yes,
Becomes easier to swallow, I think, in the course of
Yeah.
time.
maybe this time around they'll.
Yeah.
When I first started here, to give you a little history,
Let's.
back then, it was nothing to see a 4 or 5% raise.
When you're up here.
We also had a brand new dump that everybody was against, but this company was coming where they're at. And I think the royalties back then was over $1 million a year for that for several years, way before you were here. And I don't know what it's down to, but that's something going to be lost here. You get 400 out of that a year? Do you know off the top of your head? It was around 400 what I seen last year. But someday that's not going to be coming in either,
Right.
you know?
Do you guys have an idea where we could find the money?
Well, John said he's got some ideas he's gonna share with Tracy.
Okay. No, I mean, just because I know you've been thinking about it really.
My dad's backyard, he might have buried some stuff.
Okay, well, all right.
Jenny mentioned the food line, you know, because we've got a reduction in inmates. So that's a possibility, but it's probably not gonna bring in that much.
And Ron, when you bring up a good
45, I think, right now.
like the sheriff said, you
Yeah.
have a valid point. We have to be careful there too, because sheriff mentioned, what if the feds do call and say, hey, in May, we're opening
Right.
up, we're sending you
Right.
20 in 2 weeks, Dwayne, be ready.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need it to feed them.
Yeah.
You really can't bank on that one till kind of the last quarter when we really have a feel maybe where things are at.
I want to talk with
I,
you on
I think
that.
it would be better to adjust now because I mean, you're thinking 400,000 to 500,000 loss for the year in inmates. So we'd almost need to update the budget now to where we know, and then if they do increase, we can re-change the budget. But otherwise, it's giving us a false sense of having to either spend that money or not receiving that.
Was it mentioned quarterly? We need to look at this right now.
I said, it. I don't know. I mean, that's something I think we talked about it because it's a working budget, but we've never said, where are we at this week? Where are we at, you know, and you can't, then again, and Jenny, I don't know how she feels, but say at the end, oh, we're bad. So we lay 10 people off and then the next quarter, hey, we need them back. I mean, how do you do that? You're the money people, you and Jenny, and
That was the whole reason why we went to a review of the budget every month,
right.
so that we could change things on the fly. if we
Yeah.
needed to.
Well,
Very
right
good
now,
idea.
it's not changing. So I'm thinking if you could do, I'm not saying, you're not cutting right now, but we need to cut the revenue line and then we need to cut, I'm just guessing a little bit of the food line, but there's a whole lot of other stuff to go with it. I mean, you shut down probably part of the jail. Can you cut some of the electricity or, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of get it
No,
mirrored to what
Gotta
it's
keep
actually
it
going to be.
Heated.
you keep.
There's construction going back there, so they got to keep it lighted and heated. They're on timers and they shut it.
Put a daycare in there.
I see what the way she's thinking is that, okay, so we haven't brought in all of what we thought we were gonna bring up to this point. So can you cut part of the food for those people that you didn't house?
Trace, we can prorate
Yeah.
on the average for right now month that we're seeing. However, here's what I would have to ask. If that happens, and I know Jenny would watch it, you guys would watch it,
Yep.
it has to be set aside, not spent.
Yeah,
Because if I get that phone call, we're gonna need that money to
Right.
feed people.
Exactly, yeah.
but at least we know it's there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And those, we could talk about those things.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, by the time you wait to the last quarter, it's just too late.
Yeah,
You're right,
Too
Jenny.
late to
That's
do
why,
anything.
that's why we're meeting now.
you're cramming to cut out money.
Under the
that's
fearless
not there
leader.
anymore.
Now, Tracy, and when we did our budget last year, we had a savings because we changed insurance.
Yeah.
And it was more, and don't take this wrong way, but my employees, their employees look like I took a pay cut because now I'm paying more in insurance. I understand it. They understand it, but it's a hurtful thing.
Yeah.
So we had a savings in that, right? 100.
Yeah, no, and I want to explain something. Keep going.
I'm just telling you perception here. I just want to know where, and then there was, we got the grant for the two people for me.
Yeah.
It was 100 and I can't remember exact numbers per year. It was 200 and something over a 2-year period.
Cops grant.
That helped.
Yeah.
We got 300,000 that would be coming in now, and Jenny's on there in taxes for, I know I paid them. I seen the thing on there for the animal control, which I 100% support.
Yeah.
So I'm adding this up in my head, so we're still not good, but we had some good things happen.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right.
And I just want, he was mentioned the health insurance that affected everyone. We went from a 0 deductible to, which it's not really a 0 deductible because we do have a $5,000, $10,000 deductible, but it reimburses back.
Yeah.
But the employees were at 0. They're now at a 250, 500 plan, which means that their doctor's visits are still their $10 copay. Their prescriptions are still their $3, $2, whatever. The only time you end up paying on those 250, 500 deductibles is when you go to the hospital.
Yeah.
I've already.
You have a surgery.
That's
Those
like a
types
no
of things.
deductible plan, 250, 500.
Exactly.
That's true.
You
I don't wanna
can't-
I'm just saying, I brought that up
Started on
because,
that again.
Yep,
and that kind of goes in with wages over the years,
Yes.
is they look at it as
Yeah.
a decrease in their.
I get that.
I collected it.
But
I
that's,
just wanted to explain to the board that,
that's a good deal.
yes.
Good deal.
And just so you know, we have not received any money for the COPS grant yet, but it is in the works. So hopefully at some point, we do start getting some money in, but we have not received any money for the COPS grant yet.
I will get with Lori tomorrow and see if she has put in for a reimbursement for that money.
No.
Or put in the, for, if she's tried to draw down those funds.
So this is all good discussion and I feel we're getting places. This is stuff that you guys can go over.
Mhm.
I feel that there's been good conversation. I feel we should have a meeting next week
I agree.
and we'll look at a different department, not ignoring you guys, but we'll leave you alone and
But you were,
want to meet next week, Lori, with your department?
You could probably do 2.
Do a
for
week?
what we do. I mean, 2, and we were supposed, Jenny's here too. She was supposed,
Kenny, you want to go next week?
So where,
you had her scheduled for tonight with us.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Could I ask one thing?
Yeah.
If you guys could kindly consider, it's huge for the 1s and 2s, especially us being such a big chunk for you guys.
right.
Kind of know, where do we want the fund balance? If the COVID reimbursement comes in, it's going in the fund balance. What's the offset going to be to get us where we want to be? Because that bottom line is huge for the 1s and 2s to maneuver for you.
We had this discussion with prior boards. We need $1.5 million.
What is it, between 11 and 16%?
Million and a half?
16%?
Audit wants a 16%.
but it's
Unbalanced too.
unrealistic to get to that from here very fast. Like we ended 2020 with roughly 8%. There's no way to get from 8% to 16% super
true.
fast, but we need to gradually work on it.
What do you think, Jenny?
If we don't correct where we're going now, we're going down to 5%. So
No, can't do
I
that.
mean, if it was up to me, I would prefer to be over the 8. But knowing the losses that we may incur, I would be happy with the 8. But obviously, it would definitely be great to be up to 16 to 20% at some
So
point.
what do you recommend as a fund balance then for this year, this term?
It would be great to end where we are ended with 2020. I'm hoping the 2021 increases. Again, we have to wait for the auditors to do their thing to find out where it's going to be. But I would like it to be $1 million or 1.2 million. But
1.2
again, we have
million.
to realize that it's going to be as low as we've gotten, and it's going to be hard to get it to increase that quickly.
All right, does that help you?
Thanks, Jenny.
Hey, I was gonna ask you something, Laurie, and I can't remember what it was. That's my 55-year-old mind. Don't say anything. Right, we had a celebrity here last night. Leland, who is Dog the Bounty Hunter's son. I'm sure you've already heard of Doug, he actually worked for this bond company. He brought someone to our jail last night.
Really?
I don't know if they got pictures with them or not, but Brian just reminded me of that.
Oh, that's
Okay.
really neat.
What's I gonna ask you? I don't remember.
Not Tuesday.
Nope.
Remember, that's the only day I can't do it. Unless you
A
don't.
question for everybody that you could answer.
That's part of what we'll go over, maybe towards the end of the week, next week,
What?
meet again.
Meet again towards the end of the same time, same day?
It works for me.
Thursdays.
Next Thursday at 5 o'clock?
You? Lori?
Is that the first Thursday?
That would be, yeah,
That's Thursday.
yes, that is the first Thursday of the month.
So that's February 4th.
Okay, I have a township board meeting, but it's at 6:30.
Well, Thursday's probably not a good, is Wednesday better?
I have
No.
three township
when's
board
the-
meetings on
When's
Thursday
the
night.
Republican meeting?
It's first Thursday of the month.
First Thursday? So that would,
So that would be,
that would conflict.
Schedule it and they'll come.
so we're gonna do it
How
Wednesday?
about Wednesday?
Wednesday nights works better for me, but
Wednesday?
I'm just one person.
Third.
Wednesday, the 3rd?
5 o'clock.
Works perfect for me.
Okay, when's the next?
It's gonna be another budget workshop.
Yeah.
In between
I'm gonna
days.
go make a copy of that for you,
I think both of you.
the finance meeting.
And I'd like, if we're gonna have them frequently, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, if we're gonna have them frequently, I'd like to keep them around an hour. So you don't just sit here and get, is it over with? Is it over with yet? You know, you get your attention span and
Are you doing your board? We don't need it, never mind.
workshop.
Ignore what I just.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll have a workshop next Wednesday at 5 at Dale's house.
At
I
Dale?
mean, here.
In his pole barn.
Yeah,
You gotta take your boots off though at the door. I've been in it.
really?
Yep.
Before you guys leave, can I do mine really quick? Because I have it all prepared.
Yes.
and in front
Yes,
of
you do it right now.
All right, it shouldn't take very, very long. You guys said you wanted the organizational chart, so I have, if you see the one that has my organizational chart,
Yeah.
it's basically myself, and then I have a chief deputy who is my supervisor, and I have 3 deputy treasurers. When I first came in, there was only 2 deputy treasurers, and so we had to close for lunch because when it came to vacations and all the time off and sick time, there wasn't enough staff here to cover when there was lunches. So we're open for lunches now. We're open the full day. On the second page, it's my budget report. If right behind that, it gives my full budget. My budget is not a very big part of the budget. Of that, statutorily, the delinquent tax revolving fund admin fee, the admin that is charged for the delinquent taxes, automatically comes in the general fund to offset my office for the work that we do. And so last year in 2020, 180,000 of that came into the general fund to offset my budget. And then on top of that, in order to get my fifth person, I call it my 4th person, actually, the extra deputy, I pay for 2 of my people out of the tax reversion fund. I will still be able to do that when the law changes and I can't give any of the delinquent the tax reversion fund money. We also administrate the dog license by law. So the percentage that my staff works on that is about 10,000. So when it's all said and done, my office actually costs you a negative dollar amount.
10.
And then on the back page, it tells you all of the revenues that my office brings in. So we're like the central revenue hub. So we're a pretty busy traffic office, high traffic volume office, people coming in, departments coming in, and the back, it just shows you all of the money we receive, mostly the tax monies. But then we also take in all of the department monies in transit and road commission on top of that. So I won't go into all of that separately for time's sake. And then the sheet after that shows you all of the stuff that my office does. And I'm a constitutional office as well. And virtually all of my duties and responsibilities are established by state law. So I have my duties on there and I have which law is that goes with that. We're responsible, we're like the accounts receivable. So we receive in all of the revenues from the various officers, departments, agencies, boards, commissions of the county. The revenues consist of taxes and fees, state and federal grants, charges for services, fines and forfeitures, interest and rents, and other revenues. We're also the custodian of certain funds held in trust and agencies on behalf of others. And these funds include amounts due to other people, other governments, probated trust funds, penal fines, and escheat money. We manage uncashed monies as well. We also, I'm the chief banker for the county. So every day we make bank runs, you know, we take all of the revenue that comes in and take it to the bank. We assure that there's sufficient money to cover that. So part of the claims report that you guys got in the last board meeting, it said I review the checks and expenses when they go out, but that's not my role. My role is to make sure that the checks that you've approved, there's enough cash in the bank to pay those. So I'm the oversight on the cash side. For the funds that are not immediately required to meet cash flow needs, I invest those. So I'm the chief investment officer of the county. And I have to invest according to Public Act 20 of 1943 as amended and Clare County investment policy adopted by the Board of Commissioners. In a cooperative effort with the clerk and the administrator, I maintain the county's general ledger utilizing fund accounting methods prescribed by the Michigan's Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, being Public Act 2 of 1968 as amended, and reconcile the general ledger with all of the bank accounts. And we have those here at any time if you guys would like to see any of the reconciliations. We also do a whole lot of reporting. I'm sure you're aware we have to do all kinds of different reports. In addition to the financial responsibilities, I am responsible for the Michigan General Property Tax Act, which is huge. The property taxes are assessed by the townships and cities and collected by their respective unit treasurers. All of the property taxes become delinquent on March 1st. At that time, the local unit turns over their role to us called settlement. And during settlements, I verify the amount of unpaid taxes and assume responsibility for collecting the remaining delinquent taxes. In Clare County, the county treasurer does not collect delinquent personal property tax and other certain delinquent taxes, but I send a warrant, give a warrant to collect to the township to do that. But part of that settlement process is, and what the delinquent tax revolving fund is for, is I have to have enough money at that settlement time to buy those taxes back. And I think I mentioned at the last board meeting that normally it's around 10%, it's around $4 million that I have to have every year. But it allows the county to operate for the full year, the transit, senior services, 911, all of the schools, and any other millage entity under the libraries so that they can run and operate for the full year. Without them getting that money, you know, we wouldn't be able to operate at all. So that's why we have to protect the revolving fund as much as possible. After settlement, the county treasurer permanently maintains all the tax rolls and we're responsible for all the change orders. So that's another huge part about the job is all of the board of reviews at all of the townships and the state tax tribunal, the state tax commission, the principal resident exemption unit, they all order us to adjust taxes. So we have to bill, we have to pay out and adjust these taxes. We're like the middleman, so we do a lot of the work for this, but that is part of the process. And so each unit, they only have to do it for themselves. I have to do it for all 19 units. The property tax reversion purposes, we've been an opt-out or opt-in county since 2004, which means the county is the foreclosing governmental unit. So if taxes aren't paid within a certain timeline, that we unfortunately will have to foreclose on those parcels. It's a huge process. We have a really good system in place. I have a great staff that does a lot of research and we try to find people because we really don't want to foreclose on anyone. So we do as much as we can to avoid that. And there's a lot of changes coming to that. So it's going to be a huge undertaking that we have to do, but we're up for it. And it's probably necessary, but there's going to be a lot of learning curves along the way. We are an opt-out for principal resident exemption audit program. So what that means is the state of Michigan does the principal resident exemption audit. So that formerly used to be known as the homestead exemption. So the Department of Treasury keeps track of and maintains, and they will order us on several occasions to deny principal residence exemptions to taxpayers. So we have to process those and bill the taxpayers and pay out the schools because it was the school's money that was missed on that. So that's a pretty huge responsibility there as well. And then, of course, we also certify deeds prior to anybody, before the clerk can record them, we have to certify that there are no taxes due on the deeds. And as of 2019, we also have to certify any proposals to split properties.
Look at that, her department.
And then, of course, one part of our job is, for some reason, the treasurer is responsible for the sale of dog licenses. So we have to make sure that dogs are updated on their rabies vaccinations. And we work with that. And then the animal shelter works with the enforcement side of that. But that's just a little bit. It was really fast. I know you probably couldn't understand half of it, but if you want to know any more, I have an open door policy. Come on in and see me anytime.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So basically, we shouldn't even expect you to have to cut if you're adding $23,000 to the general fund every year.
Well, it would be nice that you didn't.
And I guess in your opinion, though, I'm gonna ask every department head, do you know of anywhere that you could trim expenses? And
If you look at my budget, I only have people to cut. There isn't anything in the budget. for
I
me
know
to
it.
cut.
That's why I feel bad even asking, but I feel I have to because we're asking everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And
if you
it's
look
nothing you
at-
have to answer right now.
Yeah.
And it,
What, Tracy, when we did this budget for this year, what did we add back that we cut from the prior year?
We didn't.
We didn't add anything back.
Per diem.
No, your department heads did everything possible to leave their budgets where they were at. When we
So
cut,
we didn't add back the
Nope.
10% that we cut
no,
from everybody?
no, we left it out.
one other thing too, Jenny, is when you take your money to the bank, will you call me before you leave so I don't go to the bank at the same time? Because it takes you forever.
Yeah, well, a funny thing about that is,
Yeah.
we used to have the bank just a block away. So
Yeah,
I would walk to the bank, but we also have, the district court has their own bank accounts, and the inmates have their own sheriff department inmate money. And then the friend of the court, they used to do the same thing. They'd walk right just a block away, but they closed that down. And so now we have to drive, 2-3 miles away. And so I graciously said, I got to go there anyway. So now I take all their bags with me. So I'm there a little bit longer than what I used to be. And so, yeah,
If I
if you get
walk in
behind
there and
me,
you're there, it's
he
like,
does take up
no,
a little
it can't
way.
be. I'm gonna be here a half hour.
We use
TCF.
What was
TCF? We use
That-
TCF.
We only have the one bank in town. We only, we have that in the
Yeah, well-
credit union, but
Okay.
I
Don't get me
wanted
wrong,
to say something.
I invest in a bunch of other banks.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to tell you, Lori and Jenny, and equalization, way to go on that Fetch GIS. That is awesome.
Wonderful, isn't it?
I got the opportunity to use it and I love it. I think it is amazing for our people.
We have worked really hard on that, and I'm excited about it too. It's
You
gonna
can
be.
go on there and look at
obviously.
your property taxes and your properties and
Okay,
pieces of properties next door and
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Assessors can use it, Sandy, where.
I guarantee you, when John said something about a road millage, I'm saying I don't have the guts to ask anybody for any more money.
Good luck with that.
Oh, okay.
Like Hamilton Town.
From here, like they did the White House.
Their own group. So we're doing it.
Okay.
And Jenny, Marlena,
You know what?
equalization, went out
I didn't.
together to get this going
Great.
and set a fee scale that I believe Pete's gonna present to the board.
Okay, good.
Jenny?
What's the name of the program again?
Fetch GIS and it's on the county's website.
Okay,
I think.
all right. Fetch?
Fetch, GIF. It's got a dog on it.
Okay. Oh, fetch. All right, good.
GIS is Sam.
All right, good.
Like,
So it will generate revenue.
they are.
Okay, good.
We weren't getting.
Easy.
Yeah. I've been real good about places to get money.
You have a username and password.
Get out to the rural area.
I sent it
I
to
agree.
you.
Me?
Yes, I did.
Jack's my
I
biggest,
sent it to all of you
When did you?
Jack's my biggest nemesis now. He calls me.
last week,
I
I
always
think,
thought,
or the beginning of
"Oh,
this week.
Stephanie."
Did you send it at count?
I'll look.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'll double check too.
There's nothing on my side, unless you want more explanation, but I don't want to waste all your time because I know you guys have other things you'd rather do in the evening, but I think it would, probably behoove it if, just if Tracy and I got together and then when you meet, as you meet with other departments, see if they can update, because maybe they know of some expenses that they might not be having. You know what I mean? If you haven't had employees working for a while, you can go ahead and reduce it, if it's been a month, go ahead and reduce your budget by that, because it'll get us to a better number. Maybe we wouldn't have to cut as much as what we think if we can kind of reduce some of those things.
Yeah.
That
a
would be
little bit.
awesome. That's why these meetings are happening. I would like to find money to put back in the general fund, so we didn't have to cut anybody,
Yeah.
you know?
I just think if we update some of those expenditure lines,
Yeah.
any of them, it will help.
Right.
Very good.
Thank you.
And you have any problem coming to these to listen in, to see if you feel if we're going in the wrong path, you can step in and say, hey, dummies, you're not gonna gain any money by doing that,
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
especially me. I'm gonna speak for myself. Maybe Dale and Sandy
Dale is sharp. I'm not.
and Bronwyn was on a different board for a while, but
Yeah.
this budget to me is absolutely confusing.
Yeah. And her
Time budget like at Harrison Lumber,
really helped.
at year end, it's over with. You know exactly where you're at, where this one goes in different, you wait different years, you don't know how much money you're gonna get, and it's very confusing. So any help, I feel it's good, not bad to me. Anybody that's got anything to help me with this, I'm more than interested in it.
Well, when I handed out the budget to you
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I also gave you a list of
Who's in charge of what funds?
who oversees those departments and what department numbers they are, so that you can find them easily within that stack.
Right. That's a good idea.
And please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the budget.
Do you mind coming to the meetings? Is that
Nope,
something you
Not
can
at
do?
all. I can come in next Wednesday. I checked my schedule and
Great.
I am available.
Okay.
We are on
Good.
Wednesday. Okay,
And
good.
then you and the sheriff are going to meet before next one.
Right.
So maybe we'll have
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
I'm calling it.
Okay.
Pull the plug, Don.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.